Hi, welcome to the Action Speak Network. I'm Manazai. So 2 days ago, Elon Musk had a one-on-one interview with Jesse Waters of Fox News. And during this interview, Jesse Waters asked Elon Musk the reason why he's conducting a lot of research with his SpaceX company on going to planet Mars. Elon Musk explained to Jesse Waters that the reason why he's conducting this research and trying to make life sustainable on planet Mars is because sooner or later the Earth will be completely destroyed by the sun. He said this, play the clip.
Why are we going to Mars?
Well, we're definitely, this is a change of subject, but it's not about going to Mars to visit once, but it is to make life multiplanetary, so that we can expand the scope and scale of consciousness to better understand the nature of the universe and to ensure the long-term survival of civilization in the hopefully unlikely event that something terrible happens to Earth, that there is a continuance of consciousness on Mars.
This is a backup plan in case something bad happens here, going to Mars.
That's one of the benefits of Mars, is life insurance for life collectively. So eventually, all life on Earth will be destroyed by the sun. The sun is gradually expanding, and so we do, at some point, need to be a multi-planet civilization because Earth will be incinerated.
I'm hearing this for the first time. No one's ever told me the sun is going to burn
This is
Earth.
not a disputed fact.
I'm not disagreeing with it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I didn't know this was our destiny, to get roasted by the sun.
Yes, and I don't think there's anyone who would disagree with that.
So we have to set up plans to leave and spread out.
I mean, we have several hundred million years, so it's not like you don't hold your breath. It'll be okay. But if Earth has been around for 4.5 billion years, which is what the fossil record suggests, then Earth only has about 10% more life in it before it gets so hot that life is impossible.
And you're going to be the guy to put us closer to where we need to be to get to Mars.
We're headed there, yeah. We have a long way to go because it's not about just landing on Mars and doing flags and footprints. It's about creating a self-sustaining city on Mars. With the fundamental fork in the road of destiny being that Mars is sufficiently self-sustaining and can grow by itself. If the resupply ships from Earth stop coming for any reason, whether that is because civilization died with a bang or a whimper, but if the resupply ships are necessary for Mars to survive, then we have not created life insurance. We've not created life insurance for life collectively. So that's the key point in the future, where destiny of life as we know it will forever be affected, is when Mars becomes self-sustaining.
President Trump signed an executive order banning the gain-of-function research. You all may remember that during the COVID pandemic, a lot of journalists reported that this COVID virus may have originated from the gain-of-function research laboratories. So President Trump signed an executive order to ban those type of research in the US and even in other parts of the world where the US was sponsoring those type of research. He said this, play the clip.
We wouldn't have had the problem we had.
A lot of people say that, sir.
If we had this done earlier.
So after President Trump signed this executive order to ban the gain-of-function research, the Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy went on Fox News, where he reacted to the decision by the president to ban the gain-of-function research. Robert F. Kennedy said this, play the clip.
As you pointed out, gain-of-function studies are the kind of science that is designed to make microbes and pathogens more virulent, more transmissible, and more deadly. It was in this country, they started doing it in 1947, the military and the intelligence agencies, in order to develop bioweapons. In 1969, President Nixon banned it all, shut down Fort Detrick, shut down all the labs. That ban, and then signed the Bioweapons Convention. That ban lasted till 2001. And after the anthrax attacks, Anthony Fauci essentially restarted the arms race. and the bioweapons arms race, and did it under the pretension of developing vaccines because of the same science that you develop bioweapons and vaccines. In 2014, 3 of his bugs had escaped, and 300 scientists wrote letters to President Obama asking him to shut down Anthony Fauci. President Obama declared a moratorium, but instead of shutting down his experiments, he moved them offshore, mainly to the Wuhan lab. And now, the principal institutions of our government, the CIA, the FBI, the State Department, Department of Energy, all say that it is most likely that those experiments resulted in the COVID-19 pandemic beginning in 2019. So President Trump today moved to shut down this kind of research in this country and to stop funding it abroad.
For a couple of days now, President Trump has been floating the idea of reopening the Alcatraz prison. And 2 days ago, when answering some questions from some reporters, he talked again about reopening Alcatraz prison and sending criminals and some illegal immigrants there. He said this, play the clip.
Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up, and it was a lot of shark bites. And we'll see if we can bring it back in large form, add a lot. It sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful. And
so after President Trump floated the idea of reopening the Alcatraz prison, Stephen Miller went on Fox News where he had this reaction. Play the clip.
Stephen, I get the symbolism, and anyone who's toured Alcatraz, it's a great, tourist destination for your family, a lot of history there. But it was built in '63, it closed down in '63. It was too expensive to operate. And they'd basically have to raise it because the facility is so, it's bad. Raise it and then rebuild it. That's according to people who used to work there. Your reaction to that concern, and again, it's a great tourist stop if you happen to be in San Fran.
Well, sea travel and air travel have improved enormously since 1963 when that facility was shuttered. So I have no concerns about the ability to get supplies, provisions, and resources to and from the island.
No,
Alcatraz is a symbol.
Stephen, the actual facility itself, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. The actual facility itself, the argument is it would have to be raised and completely rebuilt.
Right, but I'm saying when it was closed in 1963, that was the complaint. As for the facility itself, that's easily refurbished. So that's all nonsense. Look, Alcatraz was built at a time when this country was strong and it knew how to take care of villains and monsters. There are people in this country, as President Trump has said, who will do nothing with their lives but rape, maim, and murder. They cannot be rehabilitated. They cannot be saved. They cannot be coached in some better way of living. They are always going to hurt. They are always going to steal. They are always going to attack. And we need a place in this country where we can send people to visually demonstrate their total separation from society. The fact that they are not going to live among us and will never live among us. Additionally, this helps to disrupt transnational criminal organizations because it is harder to communicate with. It is harder to apply pressure to individuals who are inside of that prison because of its separation, again, from society. So it's right for our security, it's right for our safety.
During his speech 2 days ago, President Trump also touched on this point of self-deportation program installed by the Homeland Security. He explained that the people who use this app will receive some stipend paid by the United States government. President Trump said this.
We're going to pay each one a certain amount of money, and we're going to get them a beautiful flight back to where they came from, and they have a period of time. And if they make it, we're going to work with them so that maybe someday, with a little work, they can come back in if they're good people. If they don't work, and if we take them out after the date, then they're never coming back.
The Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, also went on Fox News where she explained how difficult it is for the government to deport one individual. And she encouraged people to self-deport because it's less costly for the United States government, and also it gives opportunity and possibility for this illegal migrant to come back to the U.S. in the future. She explained by saying this, play the clip.
We give them a way to self-deport, and then they might one day have a chance to come back. And you decided to sweeten the pot a little bit, but the amount of savings will be massive. Tell us about the whole program and the savings.
Yeah, absolutely. These illegal aliens that are in our country have the opportunity to go on the CBP Home app, and we will facilitate them finding their way back to their countries. We will pay for their plane ticket. When they get there, we will verify they are who they said they are and that they are, in fact, back home. And then they will be paid $1,000 as an incentive to go there and to be able to help facilitate their housing or their clothing or their food for the period of time that they're back in their country until they can get themselves settled. And listen, Sean, that's really what this whole situation is about. We spend about $17,000 arresting, detaining, and deporting an illegal alien right now today. If we have the opportunity to purchase a plane ticket and send someone home with a stipend like this, it saves us thousands and thousands of dollars. And it also is a much safer situation for officers and for those in communities. And it gives that illegal an opportunity to come back to the United States of America. Remember, if they wait until we arrest them and deport them, they don't ever get the chance to come back to the United States. They don't ever get a chance at the American dream. So those individuals that are here illegally need to realize this is their opportunity to do things the right way.
So 2 days ago, there was a very interesting discussion on Fox News about the self-deportation program and the deportation by the government program. And during this exchange, the reporter explained that it is more costly for the government to deport an illegal immigrant compared to when the illegal immigrant self-deport himself. He said this, play the clip.
So Fox News can report exclusively that DHS will announce today that they're going to start paying for the commercial flights of illegal aliens who self-deport from the U.S. And on top of that, they're going to pay them an additional $1,000 stipend once they're confirmed to have left the country. Now, DHS says doing this is going to be significantly cheaper for the American taxpayer. They tell us that right now it costs on average about $17,000 to arrest, detain, and deport someone. They say paying for self-deportations and the stipend will only cost about $4,500 per person. That's about 70% cheaper.
Tom Holman, the border czar, the man in charge of implementing the immigration policy of President Trump, was on Fox News yesterday where he discussed the self-deportation program that was recently installed by the Homeland Security Secretary. He said this.
Explain to us your hopes for this program.
Well, look, and if you look at what Biden administration did, he gave a free airline ticket to the city of their choice. When they got arrested by the Border Patrol, they picked what city they want to go to. Free hotel room at $500 a night, 3 meals a day, free medical care, and work authorization. So we're in the export program. So we're turning the CBP Home app, reversing it, and sending people home. But the president's right on the cost savings. I mean, rather than, especially in sanctuary cities where it used to be one agent can arrest one bad guy in a county jail, now we got to send a whole team for officer safety reasons to look for these people out in the public. But I think this is ideal for like the 1.4 million illegal aliens who've been ordered deported but became fugitives, and open up other opportunities. It's going to be an extreme cost savings, first of all, for the right people. And I think it's going to help remove those that want to come back under a legal program. For instance, if you're already deported but you have a U.S. citizen child here, well, someday that child can petition for you. But if we have to formally deport you, that puts mandatory bars against you. Even if you, in other opportunities, you can come back on a student visa, a visitor's visa, and come back the right way. But if we have to formally go through the process of seeking you out and deporting you formally, you get all these bars that shut off all these future programs. So it'll be an immense cost savings. I think you're looking at like a 75% cost savings.
So during an interview a few days ago with President Trump, with MSNBC host Christine Walker, the host asked President Trump if he believes that everybody present in the United States should have due process, including the illegal immigrants. President Trump said this, play the clip.
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
I don't know.
Well, the Fifth Amendment says
I don't know.
as
It seems it might say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials. We have thousands of people that are some murderers and some drug dealers and some of the worst people on earth. Some of the worst, most dangerous people on earth. And I was elected to get them the hell out of here, and the courts are holding me from doing it.
But even given those numbers that you're talking about, don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said. What you said is not what I heard the Supreme Court said. They have a different interpretation.
2 days ago on CNN, there was a very interesting exchange on whether the illegal immigrant present in the United States should have due process. And during this exchange, the anchor on CNN played a clip of what 2 former Supreme Court judges think about the question. Play the clip.
Do undocumented immigrants have the 5 freedoms?
Oh, I think so. I think anybody who's present in the United States has protections under the United States Constitution.
The 14th Amendment, it doesn't speak of citizens, as some constitutions grant rights to citizens, but our Constitution says persons. And the person is every person who is here, documented or undocumented.
Professor Lawrence Tribe, constitutional law professor emeritus, went on CNN where he had a discussion with Jack Tapper. And during this exchange, Jack Tapper asked Professor Lawrence Tribe about the response that President Trump gave to a reporter a few days back when asked about due process. Professor Lawrence Tribe said this. Play the clip.
Professor Tribe, thanks for joining us. What do you make of the fact that President Trump seemed stumped on this question of whether or not he has to uphold the U.S. Constitution when it comes to due process rights for undocumented migrants like Garcia?
He can't possibly be stumped. You don't have to be a lawyer. All you have to do is be able to read. It says that all persons are entitled to due process. And it certainly says that all officials of the state and federal governments are bound to support the Constitution. It's as simple as that. He takes an oath to uphold it, and then he says he doesn't know if he has to uphold it. That's totally ridiculous, and it's dangerous because it's trying to normalize the idea that he is outside and above the law. But nobody is above the law in this country. Due process, as Justice Scalia said, protects all persons in the country, aliens, citizens, all persons. And if you say, well, it doesn't protect the people that the president thinks are violent criminals or illegals or whatever he wants to call them, that begs the question, who determines whether somebody is deportable? Who determines whether somebody doesn't belong here or is a violent criminal? Certainly not the president. He can't be judge, jury, executioner all at once. He's trying to take unto himself the powers of every branch of government, including now the judicial branch. He says basically due process is inconvenient. How can we have hearings for all these people? Well, that's all very nice, I guess. If you want to amend the Constitution and say that all persons are entitled to due process of law, unless it would take too long to treat them fairly. That's not the Constitution that this country would ever agree to live by, and it's certainly not the one that this president swore to uphold on January 20th of this year.
There were some rumors that President Trump offered to the Mexican president to send U.S. troops into Mexico so that they can fight against the cartels. And 2 days ago, when asked by the reporters about the news, President Trump confirmed that yes, he did propose to the Mexican president to send the U.S. troops into Mexico to help fight against the cartel, but that the Mexican president turned down his offer. He said this, play the clip.
Mexico wanted help with the cartels. We would be honored to go in and do it. I told her that. I would be honored to go in and do it. The cartels are trying to destroy our country. They're evil, but she is so afraid of the cartels that she can't even think straight.
President Trump also talked about the movie industry in the US and Hollywood. And he said that other nations have stolen the movie industry from the US and that his tariff policies are going to bring back the movie industry in the US. He said this.
Other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry. And I'm saying if they're not willing to make a movie inside the United States, then we should have a tariff on movies that come in. And not only that, governments are actually giving big money. I mean, they're supporting them financially. So that's sort of a threat to our country in a sense.
In an interview 2 days ago, the former First Lady, Michelle Obama, explained that it is very expensive to live in the White House because most of the costs are covered by the president himself. It's not by the government. She said this, play the clip.
It's expensive to live in the White House. There's many people don't know. I mean, much is not covered. You're paying for every food, every bit of food that you eat. You know, you're not paying for housing and the staff in it, but everything, even travel.
There you have it. On the Action Speak Network, we give you the information as it is. Our own personal opinion, we keep it for ourselves. What are your thoughts? Please leave them in the comment section. I will check them out. We will check them out. Your comments are very important and precious to us. Please hit subscribe. Let's get to 2K. I'm out.